I want to talk about America's pivot to Asia. And I'm talking about America redeploying its military in the Asia-Pacific region. Is it a real threat to China, or this move has little substance, actually?
Well, conceptually speaking, it should not be perceived as an existing threat, because based upon our reading of the so-called pivoting or rebalancing, it is multidimensional. Of course, Washington said that it is going to shift its 60% of its military force to Asia-Pacific, but that's only part of it. In addition to that, the United States also said that the United States tried to reap the benefit of the dynamic economic cooperation in Asia-Pacific, and Washington tried to grasp this opportunity. So there's both a military dimension as well as the economic dimension. But the United States also said that the U.S. tried to much more engaged with this Asia-Pacific as a stabilizing force. So we just still can see that to what extent, because the deeds, they speak louder than those words.
But for now, let's focus on the military aspect, because we'll get to the economic aspect, all of that. China has state claims on waters in the South China Sea. And then its neighbors have turned to America to actually dispute these claims. Do you think claiming this territory is worth this diplomatic row?
The tensions arising from the South China Sea is not by China. Rather, it is because of some other countries, some of the ASEAN countries included. They have occupied those territorials that have been long claimed by China. But for a long period of time, China has shown its self-restraint. And we hope that we can shelve those differences over those territorial sovereignty through those joint exploitation. This is our strategy, which has been carried on for many, many years. We have never changed that. But nowadays, it's the United States who used to say that the United States has no position, tried to maintain its neutrality. Now it seems to me that the United States has its position and tried to stir up the tension. That's a big problem.
But you see United States with its allies staging naval drills in the waters next to China.
Yes.
And you have the Chinese press that sharply calls for the nation's military to be ready for provocations. Can a real confrontation blare up here?
So far, I think that we have give quite clear message to Washington that the South China Sea is the most important areas. If we can keep the sea line of communication safe, it will be a public good for all countries, including China and the United States. So don't try to stir up those tensions. Let's manage those differences and regard it as a public good if we can maintain stability, because the so-called freedom of navigation, the United States are very concerned. It's not a matter here. So I think that why not Washington, Beijing can work together.
But this was a very scholar-like answer that you just gave me. My question was, the way things stand now, with America and its allies staging naval drills in the waters next to China, do you think there is a real chance of an actual confrontation, or it's over-exaggerated? Of
course, the possibility is always there. If we could not manage those differences, if it is quite likely that those incidents may be escalated or spin out of control based upon the miscalculation. Both sides understand the differences there, but they try to avoid those confrontations because it is in their common interest.
Well, yeah, because the confrontation between these two powerhouses would be insane to even really consider, right? To even start to consider, it would be crazy that America and China would actually confront each other. But you have said that peace between China and America will end once their mutual interests exhaust each other. What exactly does that mean?
I mean that for a sustainable, workable big country relationship, the common interest is important, but not enough. Both sides also should cultivate a sense of mutual respect. If both sides could cultivate this sense of mutual respect and can build up those shared common understanding of what will be the regional order look like or should be, or what will the world order look like or should be, it is more likely for them to, solve those differences, even if they could not see eye to eye on those specific issues. But they at least understand that these are the specific issues. We should not have those specific event or a specific interest, difference of interest, to hijack the overall relationship. So this is what I mean, that even if those common interests exhausted, as long as there's a common understanding of those important norms of interaction each other's.
So, okay, let's say common interests are exhausted, but other common issues aren't worked on, then what comes instead of peace?
What I say that if we have a static perspective, if there's no agreement on the vision of the regional order or world order in the future, then it is very likely that both sides would not try to expand the list of their cooperation. They just focus on the differences.
Okay, so they just end cooperation, but it doesn't mean they become.
But you know what? That if
adversaries.
both sides do not see each other as adversary, if they believe that they are the partners for building a new world order, then they can expand those cooperative areas. For instance, if both sides could not agree with how to counter the terrorism, then the terrorism itself will be the issues dividing each other.